The one thing all artists must learn is the art of surviving loss. Even if you achieve your wildest dreams and biggest creative vision, which honestly with enough commitment becomes an inevitability, at least in some ways. Regardless of all that, no matter how much success you will reach, along the way you will also inevitably face loss. Because that's it, right? To create means to take risks and to experiment. Most things won't work out right away. Your job is to create new solutions, create new ways of seeing the world. And so you might as well get comfortable with facing these losses and learn how to transform them into your gains, into your strengths. This is exactly what Julia Cameron talks about in week 8 of The Artist's Way. The whole program, which is contained in this one little bitty book, is really the creative's guide to breaking down your own blocks and positioning yourself to finally create the art that you so desperately want to put out into this world. What I want to share with you in this video is on recovering a sense of strength and how you can tackle one of the most overwhelming creative blocks: time. I hope this video sheds some light on the mechanics of feeling like you'll never have enough time to create all the things that you want to, or feeling like you're too late entirely. Plus, I'm going to be sharing with you some simple, immediate, and practical changes from the book that you can try out yourself. Because honestly, you really ought to stop settling for less than you desire creatively. Maybe you can create. I feel like even when I face one idea not working, or I come head to head with some internal area of resistance, even when I get to the other side, it's only a matter of time before I reach the next hurdle. I come up against something new, another perceived block, another doubt, another insecurity. And this is obviously extremely frustrating until you realize that you're actually not looping back to the beginning, but you're actually stepping up onto a new level. And as with any good video game, with each new level comes new challenges. I don't know, maybe the universe just knows it's more fun that way. There's times when I can look to these challenges and facing these perceived blocks with a lightness, when they feel fun, and when, you know, I'm excited to face them head on and be like, oh, what am I gonna learn now? What am I gonna achieve at this level? What is the next thing gonna take me to? There are definitely times when I feel really eager to figure out and uncover what awaits on the other side. But there are also times when the challenges feel completely exhausting. When facing up against my inner monologue of tired beliefs and stories just feels painful. You know, when a project that I love, a project that I was obsessed with, doesn't work out, when it fails, it can really lead you to be struggling with this like very real, true grief. This is where Julia reminds us that shrugging it off will do you no good. We must be alert to flag and mourn our losses. I want to talk about the perceived block of time, but first, let's talk about where our first blocks around creativity often emerge. So as a kid, we all create, and it's fun and it's light and it's easy. There's no expectations until suddenly there is. We make things because we want to make them, because it's enjoyable to make things. And then out of nowhere, grown up will come along and give you some kind of encouragement or guidance or discouragement. And it's from these early authority figures of teachers and parents that shame enters our otherwise free creative practice. What we make is so vulnerable to us, always, right from the get-go, even from being a kid. The things you make are coming from the core of you. It's you making something that you want to share with other people. It's you putting your energy and your effort into something that you have created. And suddenly there's people that you trust, and through their feedback, whether it's warranted, asked for, unsolicited or not, that trust is violated. You've shown them a part of you and you've got something back that you didn't necessarily ask for. And so it makes sense, right, that we begin to build this habit of doubting our ability to make things. As a child, receiving criticism from adults or even from peers, the feedback is rarely actually constructive feedback on the thing that we've created. Mostly it will be stories about how the adult feels about creativity in their own life. It's their own scars that they are projecting onto you. And that is how these simple doubts are planted and spread over generations. When in reality, these fears aren't even real. They're just stories that have kept creatives small for far too long. And honestly, this is a huge thing that motivates me to create my own art and to scream at everybody who will listen about the sheer power of you actively creating and sharing, because we have new stories to write. We have to show ourselves and the people around us and the generations to come that art is important and creativity is for everyone. Yes, it's more accessible to approach art as a career now, but more than that, I know and I believe that creativity is something that can benefit everyone on a soul and psychological level. It is your right to express yourself freely. And when you do, you make the world a better place. In huge ways, in tiny ways. When you allow yourself to express what's really within you, you free yourself. And through doing that, you free other people. And this is why it's so important for us to heal our inner artist child wounds and to heal the wounds that we keep collecting as a vulnerable, sensitive artist putting ourselves out into the world. It's why I create this content, and I hope you watching this, I hope you reading or listening to whatever I make helps you to move the needle, even if just by a millimeter. We'll always be open to the opinions of others, and especially as we create things and share them with the world, we're open to even more opinions of even more people. But it is your choice whether you want those opinions to dictate your life. Without specific tools and sufficient ego strengths, many gifted artists languish for years in the wake of such blows. Shamed at their supposed lack of talent, shamed by their grandiose dreams, the young artists may channel their gifts into commercial endeavors and then forget their dreams of doing more groundbreaking and risky work. In order to recover our sense of hope and courage to create, we must acknowledge and mourn the scars that are blocking us. Julia Cameron likens the injuries of an athlete to those of an artist's life. They're part of the game. We don't have to try and avoid them entirely because that's just an impossible approach. Instead, we can face up to the pain and we can heal it. We can move on from it. You do this by letting yourself acknowledge it in the first place. Even and maybe especially acknowledge the losses you have inflicted upon yourself. You know, the opportunities you were too afraid to make yourself available for. The failed projects that led to you retreating. Own it, and then you can not only move on, but you can grow. Okay, so this part of the book made me really happy because I'm currently reading Eve Babbitt's for the first time. And of course, Julia not only quotes her, but refers to Babbitt as her waggish friend. Absolutely iconic. Eve Babbitt's remarks, "It's all in the frame. Every loss must always be viewed as a potential gain. It's called a creative practice for a reason. Every success, every failure teaches you a lesson. You try something and it gives you information for how you will approach the next iteration." When I remember this, when I create, to be in the process of creating, that's when it feels the best. It feels like a science experiment, it feels light, it feels playful, it feels like you're a kid again, right? Because you're free from all of those doubts, all of those insecurities, all of those expectations. You're creating for the sake of creating. Ask yourself this: how can this loss serve me? Where does it point my work? Something I keep learning as I go deeper and deeper into my own creative practice is that it all really comes down to one thing: action, staying in motion, finding and creating new opportunities. I think this is what I love so much about being a multi-passionate, and Julia shares some really great examples of creatives who've pursued different mediums and ways of expressing themselves. When one interest lulls, whether that's, you know, your own personal interest in it or external opportunities, you always have something else to focus your energy on and to get excited about. I fall in and out of my obsessions in creating in specific ways, and instead of letting that mean something like, I don't want to create in this way, so that means I am never going to make anything, I just let myself move into creating what does feel exciting at that time, and through that I stay in motion, I stay in momentum, I'm continually learning who I am, but I'm letting the medium change. I'm letting myself express myself and explore myself in all of these different ways. And the really exciting thing is something that you will learn through exploring one medium will also be transferable to another. They're not completely separate. A way that I will learn my own style through recording a video, for example, will inform something that I want to put into a painting or a piece of ceramics. Like, they all interweave, and it's all exploring yourself and your lens of expression in the many different outlets that you can switch and move between. So if your energy shifts, if your interest shifts, don't let this be a problem. Don't let this be something that makes you slam on the brakes. See it as an opportunity. See it as a way for you to bounce between the many forms of art and expression that interest you. Rather than allow yourself to be blocked, look for the other door. The momentum doesn't come from outside of you. You're not waiting on somebody else to give you your creative energy or to even give you opportunities for ways for you to fulfill a creative project. When faced with a loss, immediately take one small action to support your artist. And usually this looks like something that brings you joy, that makes you excited to be a human who has the capacity to create something, anything. Stop thinking that you have to follow these steps or do things in a specific way because you've started on one trajectory, and open yourself up to create in the myriad of ways that you naturally feel drawn to. Because really there's an endless list of ways that you can create, and there is an endless list of ways that you want to create. Don't box yourself in. Don't feel like a failure because you don't want to do the same thing over and over and over again until the end of time. You can give yourself the freedom to explore, and in doing that, in taking continual action, in staying in momentum, you will grow exponentially as an artist and also just as yourself. Okay, let's do this. Let's talk about time. Question: do you know how old I'll be by the time I learn to play the piano? Answer: the same age you will be if you don't. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I'm too old for that ranks with I don't have money for it as a great block lie we use to prevent further exploration. I'm too old is something we tell ourselves to save ourselves from the emotional cost of the ego deflation involved in being a beginner. Being comfortable with being a beginner, being comfortable with making shitty art is the most powerful thing you can do for your creative progress, for your most audacious creative dreams. Dear Julia, drag us to filth. Sweet babe, I'm gonna need you to cut the bullshit. I'm too old is an evasive tactic. It is always used to avoid facing fear. I'm not gonna lie, I basically just want to read you this entire chapter, every single, like, I've highlighted everything. Kids are not self-conscious, and once we are actually in the flow of our creativity, neither have we. This is about unlearning all of the bullshit stories that we've picked up, deciding that the blocks that other people have or hold on to, we don't have to have or hold on to. Time is gonna pass, life is gonna keep lifing. And this is where I think we get it twisted. We are so programmed to focus on the end goal that we forget that the real satisfaction comes from the process. Focus on process. Our creative life retains a sense of adventure. Focus on product. The same creative life can feel foolish or barren. Creativity lies not in the done, but in the doing. Listen, I just need you to go out and get this book. I don't know how many times I need to tell you this. Devour it and let it change your life, okay? Seriously, I want to reach through this camera and shake you, because I want to reach through this camera and shake myself. I just want to always remember that what I crave is the doing. There's no rush. I just need to take action and be in it, be in my creativity. That's how it happens. That is how you will inevitably make all of the things you dream about making. By just doing it every single day. Showing up and making the things that you want to make and letting yourself enjoy the process of creating them. The only way you will guarantee that your dreams won't happen is if you just let them stay stuck in your head. If you let your ideas die within you. Just please promise me you'll make some art today and you'll make some art tomorrow, because that's all that you really want and it's so available to you and it will feel brilliant. The strategy for moving through and beyond the perceived blocks of time and opening yourself up to creating in the biggest possible ways you can dream of is what Julie refers to as filling the form. Simply put, this is doing the next available thing. It's what I like to call baby steps. Because the next thing is tiny, the next thing is so small, it's easy for you to overlook it and be like, nah, that's not really gonna do anything. It has to be something way more complicated than that. And then you spend all of your time and energy in this dreaming phase of imagining this huge thing that you have to uncover instead of just taking that next available baby step. It's so easy. You keep thinking it won't work. To create all of these huge dreams, surely it requires a huge surge of energy. Surely it requires a miracle. In reality, it is gonna happen, and it's gonna happen in tiny, daily, creative acts. It's how all masterpieces have been created. That's how all of your faves created all of your favorite art, bit by bit. You don't have to change your entire life in one fell swoop. You don't even have to be dramatic or destructive about it. You don't have to wait for some distant day in the future where all of the stars align. Creativity requires activity, and this is not good news to most of us. It makes us responsible, and we tend to hate that. You mean I have to do something in order to feel better? This is what Morning Pages teaches us. Simple, repetitive creating. Showing up, doing the thing day in, day out, and not even expecting ourselves to be brilliant in the process. Baby cakes, you owe it to yourself and your vision to respect your ideas and dreams enough to do something with them. Yes, it will be boring at times. Yes, it will force you to face your doubts and anxieties. This is where the transformation happens. Stop stopping when you come up against the same old block. Prove to yourself that you can create anyway. You can take the action regardless of if it feels sticky, regardless if this is usually where you throw in the towel and quit. Keep taking the small daily actions and stop worrying that you've wasted your time by wasting even more time. Make your art and let yourself enjoy the process of creating it. I want you to comment below right now. What is your simple daily action? What are you committing to doing right now? So the first thing that comes up, don't overcomplicate it. Let it be easy. Use this space for accountability and for inspiration. This is how you become an example of the creative that you have been so hungry for. This is how you make space for other people to be inspired by the actions you take. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. And if I've yelled at you a little bit too much, don't worry, because next week we're talking about how you can recover a sense of compassion. There is balance in the madness, I swear. Speak to you soon. Bye.